Okay, so opioids. Let's cross that off the list. So, opioids, heroin, gotta have it, right? Or are you just gonna settle for Vicodin or maybe OxyContin? Anyways, that's quite an interesting lead in, but thanks for tuning in once again. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, D Generation X proudly brings to you your friendly neighborhood ogre. And with that being said, going right into opioids, I have a personal experience that I'd like to talk to you about. And I think maybe this will help some people understand what the opioid problem really is. And you'll see that this is one of the points that I kind of, sort of disagree with Donald Trump on. Donald Trump says during his big press conference, was it last week or the week before? Whatever it was. He had the big press conference, came out, declared a national health emergency, to get the terminology correct, on opioids. Well, here's the thing. One of his big things is he wants to regulate pharmaceuticals. He wants pharmaceuticals to come up with painkillers that are non-addictive. And you know, the funny thing is they already have those. I use them. I actually ask and request for them when I do have pain. One of my favorites is one called Tramadol. Tramadol is non-narcotic. It kind of has the pain killing effects of an opioid, but not like the euphoria. So that being said, a lot of people don't understand how this really works. And if you know me personally, you know that I haven't always lived my life on the right side of the train tracks. So with that being said, I'm hoping today that I can say something to touch the heart of an addict, or addict slash alcoholic, or somebody who has a family member that's having problems with these. There was a time when I too was an addict and was doing much more drugs than I should have or needed to. And some of them are pharmaceuticals, some of them are street drugs, a little bit of both. A lot, actually, I should say a lot of both. But that's besides the point. I told you that story to tell you this story. So, because of that addiction, I ended up in a 28-day treatment place that I put myself into, and I do have to tell you that since then, I haven't had to put an opioid in my body. I haven't had to do those types of drugs or anything like that. So I'm very happy about that. It was a positive experience. However, I met a lot of people that were on heroin. Now, the crowds that I came from were mostly like speed, meth, dope, whatever you want to call it. I really liked the uppers and to get stuff done and help me keep my weight in check and things of that nature. But long story short, there were a lot of heroin addicts at this 28-day in-treatment place that I was at. And I wasn't like interviewing people. I wasn't probing people. Just you're stuck with these 30 or 40 people for a month, and so you talk, and a lot of the people that were there on heroin addiction were fairly interesting cases. Now, I do have to say that some of the people that I saw that were quitting it cold turkey had terrible situations with seizures and things of that nature. Ambulances and fire trucks were called to the place plenty of times over that. So I'm kind of on the fence a little bit as to heroin addicts having access to methadone or Suboxone. And there's another one, I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure somebody will put it right down there in the comments. But there's another one, Subutex or some shit like that. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But it's supposed to help a heroin addict wean themselves off of the heroin. So, long story short, a lot of the people that were there confided in each other and told each other stories, and some of them stories are origin stories. How did you start doing drugs? How did you start drinking? How did you start blah, 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 blah? And so a lot of them were actually prescribed heavy opioids like OxyContin and such for pain by their doctor. Now, here's the thing. the doctors are the new drug dealers, and the pharmaceutical companies are no problem with that. They get, doctors get kickbacks and tax breaks and all kinds of shit for pumping people full of these drugs. I mean, you could probably see the same thing with like diabetes type 2 medication, because in the last, 2 or 3 years, man, it's all you see commercials for. It used to be Zoloft all the time. Everybody was fucking depressed. Now everybody's got fucking diabetes, right? So, and right, you're thinking to yourself, fuck, you make sense, because that's true. That's exactly what's happening right now. So, that being said, a lot of those people that were prescribed those medications found out that they're fucking expensive, and your insurance company doesn't quite fully cover it and things of that nature, right? So what a lot of them found out is that they were opioids, which is a derivative of opium, just like heroin. So what a lot of them found out is that heroin's a lot cheaper, gets you the same high, and if you get these pills, especially if you're on the county access or the county insurance, boom, you get the shit for free, the pills, right? And then people buy them for fucking pretty goddamn good prices from what I understand. And they'll take that money, go buy the cheap heroin, bam, get their high for twice as less, and they're addicted. They're addicted. They were addicted to the pills. That's why they got, into the heroin. They're addicted to the heroin. And so it'll keep on going on until they go through the, weaning process or whatever they need to do. So that's the big scourge. It's not the companies so much that need to create a better drug or a different drug, because like I said, they do have non-narcotic painkillers out there, and I gave you one by name as an example. So to me, the drug dealers are the doctors, and the suppliers are the pharmaceutical companies. Excuse me. So with that being said, I had to go to the emergency room very recently, okay? And when I did, it was because I had got an abscess. And it was pretty uncomfortable, because when those things get out of control, they swell up to the size of a golf ball or a lime, like mine did. And when that happened, I went to the doctor, because apparently when you get abscesses, what happens is they can reoccur. And mine have reoccurred probably about once a year for the last, oh my God, almost 10 years now. They suck, right? But I've gotten well enough with myself that I know the call signs. I know how to battle against them. I use ointments and this and that, and try to, squeeze out all of the infection and all that good shit. And it just got to the point where it got past me and it blew up overnight, and I knew I gotta go to the hospital, talk to the doctors at the emergency room, and let them know that this is happening so I could get an antibiotic. And that's what I went to the hospital for. It was for the antibiotic, right? So in the triage, they asked me, they're like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does it hurt? I said, it doesn't hurt. It's uncomfortable is what it is. And so finally I get into the back, and the doctor comes in and he's like, cool, man, perfect. We don't have to cut it or anything. It's just going to be a matter of getting you on some antibiotics as quick as possible, and I'm going to give you a pain pill. And just as nonchalantly as I just said it is the same way that he said it. Now, mind you, I did not say a single thing about pain to the doctor. I didn't even mention uncomfortability, because he didn't ask about pain levels. I just told him that I was worried that it might have to be cut, and I was hoping that I had come in soon enough that an antibiotic would do the trick. So here's the thing. It's just a prime example of the doctors pushing the drugs. You remember back in the 80s, the drug pushers are at the schools, and they're pushing it on the kids. Well, that's what the fucking doctor just did to me. Now, whether he has any past history of what my drug addiction used to be and things of that nature, he never asked. He didn't say. He didn't not even ask about pain. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there's a real problem. Yes, the drug itself can be a problem if it's abused. Okay? And especially that fentanyl crap, man. That's, wow. That shit, most people have to have their lungs monitored while it's administered. I had that happen to me one time before surgery last year. Okay, and to make me comfortable before the surgery, they gave me the fentanyl, but then they stuck one of those little things on my finger that reads your oxygen count, and then they also had me on oxygen and through the breathing mask and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's a powerful drug. These drugs are not something to fuck with, but if they do get abused by abusive people, then bad stuff does happen. But that being said, if you ask me personally, honestly, I feel that the doctors are drug dealers. And I feel that the companies, the pharmaceutical companies, are the pushers, the kingpins, the guys that the drug dealer goes to cop his shit. So, with that being said, if you know anybody that's having a situation go down, or if you notice a doctor is doing something similar to you and, you know, just cramming this shit down your throat, first off, be careful. Research anything you put into your body when it comes to a prescription. I always do myself. And with that being said, if you're hopelessly addicted, man, good luck. Hopefully you'll get away from that doctor or drug dealer or whatever the case may be. But it ain't no good, man. So that's my thoughts on the opioids scandal, outbreak, whatever you want to call it. That being said, as always, thanks for tuning in to the Ogarstyle channel. You guys have yourself a safe and happy holiday season.